Okay, so today we are starting the early civilizations throughout history. Now, remember, we talked about the characteristics of civilization in the last unit. The big thing that the early civilizations, prehistoric times, didn't have was the writing. Now, for the bell work today, I want you to take a minute to consider what do you consider important for the civilization to have? What are the big things that you need in order to have a true civilization? Just write down two things on it. If I go on before you have time to do that, just pause your video. I am moving on now, so if you're not finished, pause it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about some of the main things of the first civilization. Analyze why and how the early civilization developed in Mesopotamia. You may be wondering why I have that particular picture on here. You will find that out as we talk about the early civilization. Now, you don't have to write that last slide. Okay, so I have a picture of the Middle East right here. If you look in the middle, Iraq, there are two major rivers right there. You have the Euphrates and the Tigris. The earliest civilization formed right in between those two rivers. If you remember right, most early civilizations started there. Now, this area right here is called Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. If you take that and kind of make a crescent form, it goes over to Egypt. This area right here is called the Fertile Crescent, which leads me to the next slide. So the Fertile Crescent is the land between the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. You can see the crescent right there. This is where the early civilizations were found. Mesopotamia literally means land between the rivers. Meso means between. So you've got the land between the Tigris and Euphrates. This is where the birth of civilization began. If you have to, pause it now. I am going to the next slide. Okay, so the people who lived in Mesopotamia, which is the land between the rivers, one of the big reasons that they became a civilization is that they needed to tame the rivers. If you're going to tame the rivers and set up irrigation projects and dikes to stop flooding and things like that, you need to have groups of people who are working together. This is going to lead to more of a governmental system. And so you're going to have a ruler who controls everything. This is going to help lead to a more complex civilization. Some other general facts about the Mesopotamians is that they were polytheistic. Poly means many. They had many different gods. Most of the time in these early civilizations, the gods represent certain things about nature, because nature is difficult to control. And so in order to try to control your environment, you basically try to appease the gods. That's the type of situation that started. Now, if you have to, pause it because I'm going to the next slide. Okay, so the Sumerian city-states. First of all, they were surrounded by walls. You are going to see that all of the early civilizations were surrounded by walls because you have to be able to protect yourself from outsiders. And so they're all like this. Houses are made of sun-dried bricks. You do not have a ton of wood in this area, and so you make do with what you have. The most prominent building in every single one of the Sumerian city-states was the temple. The temple is called a ziggurat. You see a picture of the ziggurat here on the screen. It looks kind of familiar. What does it look like? It's in the shape of a pyramid. Most of the major civilizations had their religious centers as pyramids. Can you think of a reason why that might be true? It's possible that they were trying to get closer to the heavens, which is where they believed the gods were, trying to get above everything, kind of as a more than earthly type of thing. We don't know. They are theocracy, which means they are ruled by divine authorities. Even though they had a ruler, they believed that the gods really controlled everything. And that's what a theocracy is. Okay, so my 5 minutes is just about up. I'll see you on part 2.